Hey guys, this is Tauna, and today we're going to be going over our huge amount of Avatar Jumpstart reveals. There is so many cards revealed today. These were all revealed on the weekly MTG stream, but I've collated them here for you, and I'm very hyped for these. Jumpstart just looks great. It's a great way to get people into the game. If you don't know what it is, essentially you'll get 20 cards in one of the Jumpstart boosters. You take two of those boosters, you just shuffle them together, and then you verse someone else who's done the same. And it's a very easy way to get just straight into the game. Now, they didn't reveal which cards are in which packet or anything like that yet, so like you can guess some that are going to collate together well, but overall, we don't know entirely what it is yet. We also have some Commander bundle promos at the end that I'm going to show there. I could have done a whole video on those. I didn't want to because I just don't like them. I don't like the idea of them. So let's get into it. First of all, we've got the white ones here. We start out with Jet Rebel Leader. So he has, when he attacks, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature card with mana value 3 or less from them onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. So you're going to be able to cheat things out. And obviously this one here, like, Jet's likely to kind of lead like a rebel kind of based deck, like a rebel based packet. You could also make these into commanders, right? Like, there's a whole bunch of commanders that are going to come out from this. We've got Monkeyatsu. Whenever another creature you control becomes the target of a spell or ability, you may airbend that creature. So you could use it yourself if you wanted to kind of like, flicker something. Or you could use it like if an opponent's trying to target your stuff, bounce it yourself into exile, and then you can cast it later, without paying its full mana cost, just paying 2, which is great. Like, great way to kind of bypass your commander being removed and stuff. We've got Suki Kyoshi Captain. I absolutely love Suki. She's an amazing character. So she gives other warriors you control +1/+1, and then you can pay 3 and a white to give attacking warriors you control double strike until end of turn. Tale of Momo. This one here is so sad. Ah, poor Momo. So this is while Momo's obviously lost upper. He's looking around for upper and stuff. And this is a very interesting like ally tutor. So a spell costs 2 less to cast if a creature left the battlefield under your control this turn. Search your library and / or graveyard for an ally creature card, reveal it, then put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle. So you can search your like graveyard if you want to kind of bring something back from the graveyard, which is nice. If something died on your turn somehow, it's a nice way to kind of bring it back. We got Duelist Heritage getting a reprint there. We've got That's Rough Buddy, which is one of my favorite cards of all time. I absolutely love that seed. It's hilarious. And yeah, my first girlfriend turned into the moon. It's just great. It's great there's a combat trick because you go in to attack someone, something of yours has left the battlefield, and you can just buff it up and then just destroy a bonus creature, and then you just get to say, "Oh, that's a rough buddy" to the guy that you're versing. We've got Valorous Stance getting a reprint here, and then Air Nomad Student. And then we've got the Duke and Pipsqueak, 2 more rebels that will most likely be within Jet's rebel deck that, rebel packet that you can get. Work really well together because, they work really well together. It's great. We've got some commons here. We've got Inspired Insurgent there that you can sacrifice to destroy target artifact or enchantment. Kindly Customer, which is the girl who has a huge crush on Zuko. A Koala Sheep, which I hate. I hate it so much because koalas are not bears. Koalas are not bears. It should not have the bear tag. It should have like a marsupial tag or just a freaking koala bat tag. It's, yeah. And then we've got Suspicious Bookcase over here as well. All right, and then we've got Soccer's Sword Training, the Toucan Puffin here, Acrobatic Leap, and Cloud Shift getting reprints here. Both of those are nice. I like those ones. I really like Cloud Shift getting a reprint there too, which is great. Now, if you guys are liking the content so much so far, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share the video around, all that kind of stuff. We cover this stuff like, it's just gone live this morning and I'm making a video on it already. We've got blue next. So we've got the Baboon Spirit. Whenever another non-token spirit you control enters, create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token. With this spirit, this token can't block or be blocked by non-spirit creatures. So you play spirits, more spirits come in. You could also pay 4 to flicker something to bring it back at the beginning of the next end step. So you could use it to like, defensively protect your own thing, or if you have like a great ET into the battlefield effect, you can use it to kind of get that again as well. We got the Blue Spirit here. Now I don't know who this is. It's a very interesting character, but I have no idea who could be behind that mask. So they have whenever you cast, you may cast your first creature spell you cast each turn as though it had flash. Great, really great in a firebending deck, right? Unfortunately, mono blue, so you can't run them as a fire bending commander, but still. And then whenever a non-token creature you control enters during combat, draw a card. I wonder what kind of faction could really utilize, casting something during combat. I have no idea. No idea at all. I got Chakra Meditation here. So a nice kind of instant and sorcery based card. When it enters, return an instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. Then whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, draw a card and discard a card unless there are 3 or more lesson cards in your graveyard. So it cares about lessons too. We've got Nightmares and Daydreams here featuring Samurai Momo against I'm probably butchering like what they are, Samurai Upper there. Until your next turn, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, target player mills cards equal to that spell's mana value. Then you can draw a card. If a graveyard has 20 or more cards in it, draw 3 cards instead. That's pretty good for like a mill-based deck, right? We've got Chu and La, Moon and Ocean. So whenever Chu and La becomes tapped, draw a card. Whenever they become untapped, put a +1/+1 counter on them. Very, very straightforward. The Moon and Ocean spirits there from the Northern Water Tribe. Waterbenders Restoration. This one here is, I honestly think this card is actually crazy. So it costs 2 blue. You can airbend X, so you tap down your creatures potentially, or you can pay mana to pay for that X. Then you're going to exile target creatures, return them to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So it's a great like protection spell that's kind of like Convoke-esque, right? I like it. I think it's really, really interesting. I think that's great, to be honest. We've got Dutiful Knowledge Seeker here, a little foxy that's from the library. Whenever 1 or more cards are put into a library from anywhere, put a +1/+1 card on it. And then you can put target card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. And then Princess Yue here, which is just, oh, I love this card. Whenever Princess Yue dies, if she was a non-land creature, return this card to the battlefield tapped under your control. She's a land named Moon. Her name just becomes Moon. And she becomes a land. And you could tap her to add colors, or you can still tap her to scry to as well. We've got Whirlwind Technique. Target player draws 2 cards and discards a card. And then you can also airbend up to 2 target creatures. This is interesting because it's a blue card, right? Like airbending has been like, Azorius and stuff like that, but not really mono blue. So it's interesting to see that there. And then we've got Coastal Piracy getting a reprint. Reprints for Brainstorm and Consider, and then Unagi's Spray here that cares about fish, octopus, otters, seals, serpents, and whales. The art on Brainstorm's just stunning as well. I absolutely love that. And then we've got Dramatic Reversal and Frantic Search getting reprints there too. All right, into black, we've got Desperate Plea here with Zuko screaming out to get shocked by lightning. Yeah, so you sacrifice a creature, then you can return a creature from the graveyard to the battlefield if its power is less than or equal to the sacrificed creature's power, or you can destroy target creature, or you can do both. Very interesting reanimation, kind of like a victimize, except you have to destroy something that's higher power or higher or equal power. But you can also destroy a creature then, instead of like reanimating 2 things. We got Fire Nation Occupation. When it enters, you get to create that red creature token, red soldier creature token with firebending. Notably, you can play this in a mono black deck because this red here is a part of the the reminder text, so it's fine in a mono black deck. Then whenever you cast a spell during an opponent's turn, create a 2/2 red soldier creature token with firebending 1. So you get to just spam out a whole bunch of red soldiers. We've got Fire Nation Salvager, Menace. Whenever this creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or vehicle you control. Then, whenever one or more creatures you control with counters on them deal combat damage to a player, put target creature or vehicle card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So, if you've got a whole bunch of +1 counters on things, and you hit 3 people, you get to steal 3 things from their graveyard, which is very nice. We've got Low and Lee Royal Advisors here, which is going to be the next, persistent petitioners based deck. Whenever an opponent discards a card or mills one or more cards, put a +1/+1 counter on each advisor you control. Then you can pay 2 and either a blue or a black. Again, notably, you can just run this as a mono black commander if you wanted to. You can't run this in a mono black deck yet, like in the 99. Depends on the hybrid changes they make, but we'll see. And then you can pay to make target player mill cards. And then we've got Nyla Shisuro Sleuth. So this is an interesting card as well. When it enters, exile up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard. If you do, you lose life and create tokens, clue tokens based off the mana value. Then at the beginning of your end step, if you have no clue tokens, return target card exiled with Nyla to its owner's hand. So you're exiling the card from your graveyard, creating a whole bunch of clues. As you tap down those clues at the end step, if you have no clues left, then you get to return that card that you exiled back, which is nice. It's interesting, return to your hand effect. Also interesting that the borderless version of this actually shows, I think her name's June over here as well, which you can't actually see on this version. We've got some uncommons here with Ruthless Waterbender. A Waterbender that is mono black is interesting, but I like that they're showing that the colors of Magic aren't necessarily equal to the colors of the bending styles, right? Like a Waterbender can be black color identity. We got Scarring Memories here. You may cast it as though it had flash if you control an attacking legendary creature. Then target opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice, discards a card, and loses 3 life, which is really cool. Bastion of Remembrance. That honestly, almost makes me tear up. The Bastion of Remembrance. It helps if I could pronounce it. Bastion of Remembrance here with Iroh. Remembering his son and stuff. And then Dark Deal over here with Azula, making the deal with Long Feng. We got Dali Sensor, obviously the authority, the police essentially, of Ba Sing Se, a Giant Fly, and then Dire Sight getting a reprint there too. And then we've got Zuko. So this is Zuko Seeking Honor. So he's got Firebending 1. Whenever he casts a non-creature spell, Zuko gains first strike until end of turn. Then when he deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter onto him. Notably, in the actual packets, right? They generally are themed around one color. He could have a black packet or a red packet because he can fit either one of those two. All right. Next, we've got red. We got Chong and Lily Nomads. They are like a weird bard tribal. Whenever one or more bards you control attack, choose one. Put a lore counter onto each of your any number of target sagas you control, and creatures you control get a +1/+0 until end of turn for each lore counter among sagas you control. We've got Iroh, Dragon of the West, which is an amazing card. It's got haste, mentor, and then at the beginning of combat on his turn, each creature you control with a counter on it gets Firebending 2 until end of turn. Lost in Memories here, showing Zuko remembering his childhood with his mum, and interesting that it's a flashback within the show, and it also gives flashback, right? Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, target instant or sorcery in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. Overwhelming victory here with Azula burning the volleyball ball net, being an absolute sore winner. Deals damage to a target creature, and then creatures you control get trample and +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the amount of excess damage dealt this way. So if you kill a small thing, you can give all your stuff +4/+0 or something like that. Reckless Blaze here, showing Aang accidentally burning Katara at the very start of the series, where he decides to practice firebending without actually knowing how to do it. Deals 5 damage to each creature, and then whenever a creature you control damage this way, dies this turn, add red mana. We got Smellerbee, Rebel Fighter. First strike, other creatures you control have haste. Then whenever they attack, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw cards equal to the number of attacking creatures. So if you've got a huge board of attacking creatures and you go in to combat, you discard your hand of, say, 3 cards, then you draw 10 cards. I think that's worth it. Storm of Memories, a card with actual Storm as well. Showing off, what's this? This must be Aang when he first, at the before the series starts, gets into the iceberg, I think. I'm not sure. Exile an instant or sorcery card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard at random. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. If that spell would be put into a graveyard, exile it instead. So if you've got a heap of instant or sorceries that are 3 mana or value or less, and you kind of stormed off a little bit, you cast this, play them all again. We've got the Founding of Omashu here. Create some allies, discard a card, draw a card, and then creatures get +1/+0. Frantic Confrontation. Creatures you control get +X/+0 and gain first strike and trample until end of turn. And then Long Shot Rebel Bowman. Reach, non-creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. And then whenever you cast a non-creature spell, he deals 2 damage to each opponent. That's actually really good. I think that's actually really good because it makes them cheaper as well. Moku, Meandering Drummer. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may pay 1, and then if you do, Moku gets +2/+1, and creatures you control gain haste until end of turn, and then Bolt Bend getting a reprint in absolutely crazy flavorful art, crazy flavorful style. It's amazing. And then some commons here: Deer Dog, Freedom Fighter Recruit, Cathartic Reunion. I will say, when I first saw this card before, when I was making these slides, I actually teared up. I actually, got teary about this because that scene is just, yeah, great. And then we got Fists of Flame here showing Zuko with his Fists of Flame. All right, and then into green, we've got Bison Whistle, pay 1, tap it, look at the top card of your library. If it's a bison, you put it onto the great battlefield. If it's a creature, you put it into your hand. Otherwise, it can go into your graveyard, or you can keep it on top. Just like an interesting, scry one, essentially. Or surveil one, it would be more like surveil one. Master's Guidance here. Whenever you attack with 2 or more legendary creatures, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target attacking creatures. Then at the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card. Crystalline Armor. I love this one. This is just really cool as well. Obviously, a reference to the branch armor. Bugger, my brain's not working. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control and has trample. We got the Tale of Katara and Toph, and I'm sure there's going to be people who are completely normal about this card, just purely because of the art. Creatures you control have, whenever this creature becomes tapped for the first time during each of your turns, put a +1/+1 counter onto it. Very straightforward. Buff up your creatures. You can also, buff up your lands as well if you happen to have earthbent them. Tectonic Split, and this one here is crazy. I love this card. Now, if you have a way to cheat this out, it's way better. But if you don't, you're going to cast it. When you do cast it, you sacrifice half of the lands you control. Hopefully someone doesn't counter it. It has hexproof, and then lands you control have tap, add 3 mana of any color. It is really, really great. I love it. Some uncommons here. Animal Attendant, taps for mana. If that mana is spent to cast a non-human, it enters with an additional +1 on it. Bosco, just a bear. When he enters, create a food token for each legendary you control, and you can pay 3, sacrifice the food to buff him up. And then we've got Boomy's Feast Lecture. Create a food token, then Earthbend X, where X is twice the number of foods you control. I actually hadn't looked at that one. I think I actually need that for my Cabbage Merchant deck. That is crazy great. We've got Cracked Earth technique here. Earthbend 3, then Earthbend 3, you gain 3 life. Now, if you don't know why it says Earthbend 3, then Earthbend 3 instead of Earthbend 6, it's because you can target 2 different lands with it then. We've got Creeping Crystal Coating. Flash, enchanted creature gets +0/+3 and has, whenever this creature attacks, create a food token. And then we've got Elephant Mandrill over here. Reach, whenever enters, each player creates a food token. Then at the beginning of combat on your turn, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each artifact your opponents control. So it's going to get huge if you're handing out a whole bunch of artifacts to people. Kyoshi Warriors Exemplars. When it attacks, if you control 8 or more lands, creatures you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. Solid Ground. When it enters Earthbend 3, whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on a permanent you control, put that many +1/+1 onto it, so an additional one. And then Inspiring Call here to give all your creatures indestructible that have +1/+1 counters on them, as well as draw a card for each of them. And then finally, the Art of Tea. Put a +1 counter on up to 1 target creature you control. Create a food token, and then Many Partings, getting a reprint here from the what was it, Lord of the Rings set. All right, and then finally we've got the Commander Bundle promos. Now, if you don't know what the Commander Bundle is, it has 3 guaranteed promos, then 2 additional ones. Fuck, it's going to be awful. Good luck if you are not, paying scalping prices, or if you don't have a great LGS, because these are going to go so quick once you look at them. So the guaranteed ones here are Arcane Signet, Soul Ring, and then Swiftfoot Boot. So it's guaranteed you're going to get them. Then these are the ones that you'll get randomly. You'll get 2 of these randomly. So first, we've got Enlightened Tutor. Crazy great card. Flawless Maneuver. It's probably one of the weaker ones of them, but that's saying something because it's still a really strong card. Fierce Guardianship, Mystical Tutor, Deadly Rollick, Entomb, Deflecting Swat, Gamble, and then Obscuring Haze and Worldly Tutor. Absolutely insane cards in this. Like, bonkers cards, right? Like, yeah, I don't even know. That's insane. I'm not focusing too much on this because I know that these are going to be like, people are going to get them. That just, like, get scalped to help. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys had a wonderful day, and goodbye.